Hello witches! Terra Incognita here. It is Monday. I am your host here on Starting Out Solitary, and this week we are going to be talking all about magical names. So I actually did a video about this, I want to say last year on my personal channel, and I'll link that below. But I'm going to go into a little bit more here, I think. I go by Terra Incognita on YouTube. That is not my magical name. When I set that up, I was just kind of discovering this path, kind of exploring a new part of me, and Terra Incognita, spelled T-E-R-R-A, means undiscovered earth. So I changed it to Terra, T-A-R-A, Incognita, so it's kind of undiscovered self. So that's not my magical name. I just thought it was a cool screen name. But I do have a magical name that I use just for myself. I don't want people to call me by that name. I basically use it in my discussions with the god and goddess and spirit guides and universe. I use it in ritual and in spell work, and I have a little symbol that I made that kind of represents it, and I kind of use that as my signature in all my magical workings and whatnot. So that's just kind of a name that I use for me for when I'm doing things in my spirituality. But I'm not to a point where that's the name that I want to be called or want to go by. And I know a lot of people do that, and that's a personal choice. But I like my name just as well, and so that is what I go by. But my magical name is Phoenix Starfire. And some people, you know, they do meditations, they call upon their guides, and they wait for the universe to tell them what their magical name is. Some people randomly choose one, and mine I have kind of known for a long time, long before I was on this path. It's kind of something, not 100%, you know, Phoenix Starfire, but it's something that I've kind of always known, that, you know, called myself inwardly. And so when I found this path and I learned about magical names, that specific name hit me like a ton of bricks, really. And so, you know, I've always associated, for as long as I can remember, I've always associated myself with the phoenix. It was just such a powerful symbol, and as soon as I learned about the phoenix, I was drawn to it, and I wanted to know more about it, and it just has always felt like it represented who I was. And oftentimes when I'm deep in thought or meditation or even dreaming, I see images of the phoenix, and it has guided me through several aspects of my life. And the phoenix, yes, it's a symbol of rebirth, but it's a symbol of so much more. There's a lot of deep meaning with the phoenix, and it's touched many, 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 many cultures. So when you think about the phoenix, yes, it is a symbol. It's directly linked to the sun, so it's a symbol of rebirth and reemergence and death and reincarnation and that whole life-death cycle. It's a symbol of power and strength. It is directly connected to the element of fire, so it is connected with clarity and purity, consumption, transformation, in alchemical aspects. It is directly correlated to to sulfur, and sulfur is a chemical that represents, from what I've read in my research, it represents the soul. And so there's just so many things that it's connected to. Creativity, rebirth and regrowth and rejuvenation. So when I think of, when I'm trying to be powerful, when I'm trying to give myself strength, when I'm going through a hard time, I always relate to the phoenix, because I always know that I'm going to come back stronger. think about how it relates to consumption and fire, and how, you know, when I latch onto something, I'm all in. And very much like that feeling of consumption, you know, I gravitate towards something, whether it's something new in my life or some fun creative thing, and I just devour it, and that's what I'm doing, and in, you know, no time, I'm done with it because I've, you know, sucked everything out of it, and I move on to the next thing because I have this hunger, this passion, and then I start again. And you know, I've never been afraid of trying new things and starting over with things in my life. So I've always said that life is too short, and I'll never be one of those people that is stuck in a job, stuck in a town, stuck in a relationship, anything. If it's not working, I'm not afraid to cut my losses and start completely over. When I'm not afraid to try new things. I'm afraid of things that can cause me harm or cause me to die, so I'm not like an extreme sports person, but I'm not afraid of trying new things. So when I got involved in fundraising for breast cancer and animal charities and things like that, I had never done it before, but I took it head on, and now it's such a fun part of my life. And sports, I never played sports when I was a kid, but when I was an adult, I was like, you know what, let's do it, and I was all in, and I played softball for like 10 years until I hurt myself. In soccer, I played soccer for a while. So I'm not afraid to attempt new things even later on. I mean, look at me now. I'm on the pagan path, and I was not afraid to try it. And I think a lot of people prevent themselves from changing religions later in their life or making big life decisions. And I would rather reinvent the wheel, change myself, grow as a person, and be a different person if it means doing something that I love rather than doing something that I'm used to and I'm comfortable with. So for me, the phoenix represents a lot of aspects of my life. In fact, I was meditating just the other day, and I was out of nowhere, this image of the phoenix came to me, and it was kind of a weird futuristic vision of the phoenix. It was like liquid silver, and like this shield was red on its front, and it was, you know, with like metallic feathers. It was really weird, but it was a different futuristic symbol of the phoenix. I'm still trying to figure out what that means. But yeah, it's just always been such a huge part of my life. I even have a huge tattoo on it covers my whole thigh. It's a phoenix. And then Starfire kind of developed from my own name. So when I was in my early 20s, I dated a guy who was from India, and he told me that my name in Hindu meant star. And I thought, well, that is the coolest dang thing ever. And he said, yeah, didn't you also know that there's a Buddhist goddess named Tara? And I was like, what? So that was the first time that I ever thought about myself as a goddess, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is so presumptuous and so egotistical, but as we all know on this path, we are all divine. You know, we all have divinity in us. So it's really interesting to see what I thought then about, you know, being a goddess, and now here I am thinking that I am part of divinity. So it's kind of a cool thing. So Starfire kind of started from there because I suddenly became interested in the goddess Tara and what it would mean to be divine and be a goddess, and what that would really mean to me. And then when I hit this path, it was like, oh yes. And if you look up the Hindu meaning, you know, of Tara with it star, it also kind of means unquenchable hunger, because a star is combusting. So it means this unquenchable hunger. And as you just heard me say with the phoenix, I've just got this passion and this drive for life, and it never ends. It's always something that I'm like, ooh, let's try this, let's do this, let's go do this. And I'm just so passionate about it. So yeah, Starfire kind of became, Phoenix Starfire kind of became the name. And even now, you know, if you look up the goddess Tara, it's basically the female Buddha. And so from what I understand, Buddhas are different levels of enlightenment, and they, you know, can represent different things. And it's the same thing with Tara. There's green Tara, white Tara, blue Tara, red Tara, all these different versions and aspects of this female Buddha. And so I do think about that a lot, and think about myself as divine and what it means. And so I think that having that name kind of brings me closer to my spirituality and makes me feel more on the level with deity. And, you know, I was in my book club, I was reading the Isaac Bonewitz book, Real Magic, and in the wrap-up, I pulled this interview video with him, and I was watching it. It was very interesting, because he said, you know, he was talking about how we all have divinity in us, and sometimes it's hard to remember when you're dealing with other people that they are divine as well. And that really stuck with me, because not only am I divine, but you're divine, whether I like you or not, and therefore we should all treat each other as such. And so it kind of takes you more, it takes you deeper into that meaning of what is divinity. You know, I also liked, what was it? I was watching some documentary on, I don't know, the Learning Channel or Discovery or something, and it was all about the stars. Maybe it was the Science Channel. And it talked about how we're all stardust. And, you know, everything in the universe is made up of stardust. And I always liked that too. So, Phoenix Starfire, here I am. If you have a magical name and you'd like to share why, I'd love to see a video response or comments below. And otherwise, have a great week. Blessed be. I'll see you next Monday.